Hi, this is me starting over with this video because sitting in the other chair apparently was 5G. Sitting in this chair in the backyard, 2 feet away, actually connects me to one of my. Yeah, I spoke for 8 minutes and had to delete it. But so good morning, everybody. Wednesday. Figured out it's June 19th. Wednesday, June 19th. Had to sort that out based on 2 days ago was Monday. I had two doctor's appointments that day, so I remember that was the 17th. But when you're filled with anxiety and um, experiencing lots of PTSD symptoms, trying to stitch it, Pam, trying to go through your childhood trauma shit so that you can get over it, not let it keep on affecting you as a person or into your future, not keep on affecting possibly your relationships and whatever. That's where I am. And I have friends and people who think, I should stop focusing on all the childhood shit because, those are exactly the reasons why I need to focus on my childhood shit. Because for all of my 50 years, it's just been a joke to me. This crazy soap opera, as I called it, of a childhood that I had, the way my parents barely knew each other for 3 hours, and 3 months later, my mom's calling my dad, from out of state saying she's pregnant. That's how my family got started. Um, so I have an older sister, a younger sister, and by this time I was not even 12, 11-ish. My parents were already separated and had been for 4 years. My mom was dragging out the divorce, did not want the divorce for religious reasons, and my dad was living with the woman he left my mom for. So, I had already chosen by that time to live with my dad. My two sisters had chosen to live with my mom. My mom finally moved on, decided that the divorce would be fine. There was another man in her life and soon to be another baby in her life as well, my half brother. So I did not grow up with my half brother his whole life. And from the time I was 11 on, I did not live with my mother or my two sisters. Because quite frankly, this is like a really difficult fucking video to make. And if you don't care, and you're just being an asshole to troll. And so there were a lot of times I didn't even hear from or speak to my mother or my two sisters. My younger sister did some bouncing back and forth between living with us, me and my dad, and my step monster, who then was out of the picture 2 years after my parents' divorce, and my dad and her had gotten married. It only lasted for 2 years. Huge problems between her and I. She tried to get my dad to have me live somewhere else, and finally just told my dad that either I had to go or she was going, and so he told her to pack her shit and go. So for the first time, my dad chose his family, and if somebody was going to give him an ultimatum, I guess, like that. But I did not realize how much I was pushed to trying to, possibly go live with someone else. How I was pushed to show my stepmonster more respect, call her mom, and I refused. I said that I had a mom already, and as far as my stepmom deserving respect, the respect of me calling her mom, um, okay, now it's an unlisted video. Um, but I guess thank you for if you're still there, Pam. Now I lost my train of thought where I was. Oh, so yeah. So off my sisters went to New York, and I stayed and lived with my dad and what became my second stepmom then, who my dad was married to for up until 2022. Who was always kind to me, even when they moved out of state after I got married at 19. I was basically left here with no family. Always kind to me. The picture probably isn't very clear just because it's so humid out here. There, maybe that's better. I don't know. Oh, I think I have some crazy ass fucking setting now. Ow! Normal. How about normal? We're gonna choose normal. It's calling it beam, but it won't change it to normal. Hello, sort of. Okay. I don't know, guys. It's some crazy, goofy ass setting about the camera. I can't even get it to go to like normal settings. It wants to have me on a beam, which I don't even see this beam. What kind of beam would be coming from me anyway? So, yeah. My dad had rules, and there was structure and there were expectations and even I guess as an 11-year-old I sensed that that was less scary, that was reliable, safe. And before I had chosen to go live with my dad versus my mom, the whole big change with all of a sudden a man being in our life, in our house. All of a sudden there was the smell of cigarette smoke. My mother was never a smoker. See, these are memories of a child. I'm sure honestly, I feel like I woke up one day from falling asleep on the couch that night and woke up to the smell of smoke. And I'm sure that that's not how it all of a sudden happened. Um, but and also that there was just, at some point there was a man in the house and my mom was pregnant and everyone knew but me. Everyone knew but me until she was big enough to show. And there it was actually from the beginning, treating me different. Renee is going to be judgmental. Renee is going to be self-righteous about this. Renee is going to be yada, yada, yada. So needless to say, I needed the structure, wanted the structure, didn't let her older sister would be out of control. And doing things that, a 12 or 13-year-old should not be doing. And running wild and being allowed to run wild. And so, yeah, I stayed with my dad even through my first stepmonster, who very much tried to, was very verbally abusive, totally emotionally abusive. And I remember at least 2 or 3 times where she physically tried to, um, well, and succeeded at being physically abusive. And um, yeah, I've always told the story like such a soap opera. Isn't it funny? It would be ridiculous. It'd make the greatest soap opera. Like, who would believe all this shit was actually true? And then I realized, you know what? A lot of people have lives that just seem outrageous, but they're true. And mine is just outrageous in some really difficult ways, some crazy ass ways. So again, I got married at 19, and my mother and my sister did not live here, never did move back here to stay. Um, for any, my sister, younger sister anyway, for any length of time. My older sister or my mom never. Um, I was 19, newly married, had my first baby right after I turned 23, another one 16 and a half months later. And my third child, was a daughter, is a daughter, when I was 26. And then my marriage started falling apart. And again, for other different religion, but for religious reasons, you know, it's trying to act like everything was fine for as long as I could act like everything was fine until I couldn't act like everything was fine anymore. Not for myself and not for the way my kids were picking up things that and beliefs that about life that I did not believe that they should that they should learn. And when you learn something from that young, i.e., here I am, you know, it's hard to change that. And so my divorce also was a nasty, messy divorce. It didn't take 4 years like my parents, but it took a good 18 months ish, whatever it was. And I think the youngest of mine, 3 children at the time were, she was 4. So she doesn't remember her father and I being married ever. And I'm sure that's a hard thing for her. And my middle child has is a lot like me, very sarcastic, very talkative, very bold, and you know, um, if I get upset or really excited and happy, whatever, I mean anger. It didn't mean anything bad, but when you were angry, you were equally loud or more. And so he's very much like me, and we butt heads a lot because we are very similar. But he's told me that you know, I am partly the cause of his trust issues in life. He's had one girlfriend, and she uh, broke his heart. After 3 years, there was issues that he had never said anything about between the two of them, and and the girlfriend who broke his heart. Yeah. So they grew up with. I got remarried. They grew up with my mother. Um, and they visited their dad regularly. No, on and off, was in the state, going back and forth. He got remarried a year after I did, and he'd go out of state, and sometimes kids at him and weren't speaking to him. He would spend all his energy and overly focusing on my daughter. Um, and by this time, I had gotten pregnant, had a child with my new husband, who was born 12 weeks early. We spent our first anniversary in the NICU, and our son was in the NICU for 7 months before he was able to come home, and he came home because he graduated the NICU, uh, like you're supposed to, needing any oxygen, breathing on your own. He had had to have oxygen, and had to come home on a lot of medicines, and he could not feed properly. He had to have a G tube, but it was supposed to be okay. This was only going to be like 3 months. You make up maybe twice as long it takes to make up for, each day that you're early, it takes 2 days to make up for. So maybe this was going to be a 6-month thing. Well, it was 3 months, no, 6 months, no, 7 months in the NICU. And I worked my ass off as a mom. I had always been a stay-at-home mom, and I worked my ass off for every young son. Has had a very difficult medical. We have not had the help of family members. My husband's family were the only people who lived nearby. His grandmas were kind. They're gone now. My husband connected with his sister and I've always visited. They ended up in Arizona. And about a little over 2 years ago, I lost my stepmom. And back in 2018, and both of them chose to not go on living due to the medical situations they were in. And hospice was already involved, so they just decided they didn't want to be fed, they didn't want their medicine, and I don't know if any of the rest of you, some of you must have, but experienced your mother or the mother who mostly raised you just either look you in the face or scream out that they. Granted, my mom was in a hospital hospice, so there were people that helped there. But for my stepmom, they brought her home, and I tended to her as best I could with what they told me to do. Even with a house full of people, I gave her them 2 medicines that were just considered comfort medicines, and she passed away in her sleep 3 days later. 3 days of life. And I've had to become, and I mean doctors and doctors and doctors. At one point, there were 27. 27 after surgery, hospitalization after hospitalization, while trying to still raise my other 3 kids. And my husband is a wonderful man. He doesn't he doesn't think that anything is just automatically my job because I'm the wife, and there's other jobs that are his because he's the husband. He stepped in and did whatever needed to be done for our family. In order to go to bed every night, certain things had to be done to be ready for the next day. I am very grateful that he is the man he is and continues to be. And now I have three more children who have moved out. My two oldest boys moved with their dad. Out of so for 6 years, I didn't see my daughter moved out. Um, is now pregnant with her third child, and they live maybe 20 minutes away. And I don't know, maybe I do have problems figuring out how to parent a daughter because of, you know, issues with my own mother, not growing up with her. Um, I don't know. But there are times we get along, the oversteps, and forgets that her mom is dealing with some serious depression, PTSD, anxiety, and lots of medical issues. Bossy about that, and just like any mom or dad can choose for their own family. Um, Tries to treat me like, she's the very, very in charge mom. And like I said, everything I ever did for years was about being a mom. And my son with medical issues was not the only child that I had to deal with some, you know, extra issues. Um, there was the experimenting with drugs, the drinking underage, you know, teenage bullshit. But then there were also the eating disorders and themselves coming downstairs with blood running down their arms, and I'm supposed to fix it, and burning themselves with curling irons, having to take all the sharp things out of the house, worrying about, was she eating, was she not eating? Nothing to see there. Everybody, the rest of us, were in therapy. The other two older ones and myself. And I went with the older one, he and I together. And my younger daughter and I did until she was old enough to have a choice as to whether she wanted me to be there or not. And then, of course, and the distrust was growing and growing. Looking back at my childhood stuff, and there's people who say, "Oh, don't look in the past. It'll just ruin your future. It's not what your present and future are. It's just the past is in the past." But if you don't deal with trauma of your childhood, it eventually catches up to you and becomes your present and your future until you do deal with it. rears its ugly head. And I come from a family who very much likes to just under the rug, no, but nothing to see here. Nobody reaches out to talk to the person and resolve things. But I have times reached out to different family members to try and resolve things, only to, basically have a hand put in my face and or disbelief of what I've said I've experienced, and discounting it like it really didn't matter. And um, it obviously has mattered to me. It obviously has mattered to me. I don't even see the fact that I am here and my two sisters, that we even exist and whatever, is because my parents knew each other for a total of 3 hours. How fucking crazy is that? How do they build a marriage on that? They brought two more kids into the world, stayed together for 10 years after plenty of cheating or whatever. My dad finally leaves my mom for we're dirt. And since the judge probably just wanted the divorce to be done and over with, and so did the lawyers, that's how it worked. The judge and the two lawyers took each one of us girls one at a time into a room, sat down and asked us where we wanted to live, and that's where we got to go. That's where we got to go. And so I was already living with my dad, and my two sisters chose to live with my mom, and it was made fully known, and we were all made aware that regardless of our choice, where we chose to live, my mom would be taking my newly born half brother and whoever wanted to live with her, along with her new husband, soon to be new husband, and be moving back to New York, where not exactly where she grew up, but where she had family. So yeah, so from the time I was 11, I had, thanks to what was going on with my, and still going on, continuing while my mom was here and continuing to this day. He's 20 now. Um, yeah, and I took care of her every day. I'm not saying it was all good. There were plenty of times that she looked at me and said, how are you even my child? Like, she was literally dumbfounded at how I was acting, or the what I knew, or I don't know. And I thought she was joking. And then I realized later on that when she said it again and again, I realized she wasn't joking. She just didn't understand who I was at all. And how could I be her child? She didn't really know me since I was 11. That's how you don't realize how I'm your child. But I volunteered. I didn't even ask my husband. My sisters was calling and telling me all the things that were going on with my mom's health. And we tried to get her the help she needed, but she lived in two rural areas. They have really good medical help, and my sister was working full time, taking care of her family. Um, Tell her to move here. And my sister said she didn't want to overload me, and I said, well, what's the difference? I mean, when you're juggling, it's one ball to throw in. Once you learn how to juggle, you just keep on juggling, which was true, I thought. And honestly, I did an amazing job taking care of my mother and my son until things got uh, really hairy with my mom, and somehow my sisters, started to call myself and my nephew, who was living here with me at the time, elder abusers, and were very upset with how we were treating my mother, and my mother became uh, paranoid. She'd have medical issues um, where she wasn't doing what she was supposed to be doing, and it would affect her. We're up to dialysis every night and unhooking her every morning and taking all of her vitals, and including blood sugar. And so when she wouldn't eat properly and whatever, she started to behave differently too. And one day, without a nurse for my son, I was downstairs taking care of him, and the nurse from my mom's dialysis clinic came to the door at the back door, and I opened the door, and she knew she couldn't step in because of um, my son's immune system issues. People can't really be around much. But she proceeded to tell me, which did not wait until the 2 weeks till the next appointment, that according to my mom's blood work, she was on the verge of a heart attack. And that had been the month that I said, fine, to dialysis every night. I will unhook you every morning, and I'll put the numbers, record the numbers, because we have to record the numbers, the vitals, but I won't say anything. I won't try to remind you of anything. You just do and eat whatever you want. But at the day that lady came to the door, in 1 month's time, that's where my mother got herself to, and doing whatever she wanted to do, which included apparently smoking cigarettes, sneaking them from my children, um, shit going on behind my back. And I remember just running out of the house screaming into my driveway, just so angry that I spent 5 years and longer. And here she was self-sabotaging herself. And then trying to include my kids in on it, trying to get them to get her cigarettes and whatever. And then the woman shows up at the door and says, the nurse at the door says my mom is on the verge of a heart attack. She's this close. So I had to go upstairs, and I had to look my mother in the face and say, okay, you know what, this month of doing it your way lasted, I don't even know how long. And then she was focused, and my teenagers are older by then, coming and going with their own jobs, and not needing, necessarily a whole lot from me for to help them out with their daily life stuff, like depending on me, like when they were young. Somehow, though, when she was acting like my mom's body was messed up that way, she would get paranoid and say all kinds of things to hi, Gia. I'm just telling a story. And I wish it wasn't a true story, but it is. So, yeah. Like I said before, both my mom and my stepmother, I was there when they passed away. I was there when they both decided and said and screamed out loud that they didn't want to live anymore. But with my mom, she was in the hospital. Was in the hospital for 7 days before she passed. And I sat in the recliner chair right next to her the whole time. I didn't ever leave except to get up to use the bathroom, which was part of her room. Meanwhile, family members that I knew had a mother who I barely knew, except that he was a drug addict and an alcoholic, was behaving very much that way still. And two other family members problems behaving that way still too, and just try to justify it that that was their way of dealing with things. Everybody deals with things differently. Yeah, everybody does deal with things differently, but getting drunk off your ass in the room while your mother is dying is not dealing with shit that's trying to not deal with shit. And so needless to say, they got kicked out of the hospital one night. I woke up at 3 or 4 in the morning with them charging into the room drunk, screaming at my other sister. And we had to push the button for the nurse to come in. And apparently there was a policeman that had already been guarding our room because there had been nurses changing shifts had discovered that there was morphine missing, but they didn't know who had possibly done it because there were so many of us in there and they couldn't tell who had been alone with her at all. And we heard that from the nurse, and of course my older sister and I knew who had been alone with her. So yeah, my brother, the drug addict, took morphine out of my mother's IV while she was laying there dying. So they got kicked out of the hospital that night for roaming the hospital drunk and for being obnoxious and attacking us. My sister, older sister, really. Attacking her physically and verbally. And they never got to come back. And 3 hours later at 7:30 in the morning, my mother passed away. And because my mother's things were all here at my house, my husband started putting things together, and everybody was from out of state and they all had to go home soon. There was no memorial of any kind here. And because of my son's immune system problem, we couldn't have everyone just come in the house and come see her room and realize maybe that we did take really good care of her. Everything had to be put outside like it was a goddamn fucking garage sale, yard sale. And everybody decided what they wanted or what they were going to take home for their children. And my youngest son also has autism as well as his medical issues. And one day after my husband had left for work and my son had woke up, normally he was not physical in any way towards anyone. We barely got a hug or a kiss from him. We had to teach him how to do that. And he didn't do that till he was much older because breathing was always such a big deal. To hug somebody or to stop breathing long enough to kiss somebody, just even a peck, was a big deal. But there was that one morning, things were not quite right with everything that was supposed to be set up for him. And he got very dysregulated by that and lunged at me and grabbed me and dug his fingers into me, screaming at me. And I snapped, something in my head snapped. I just started to scream and cry. Oh, I get, in all the years of ambulances and fire trucks and calling 911 and being in the hospital with all the alarms ringing, all of that also came flooding back, and I was incapable. It, then along came COVID when you lost all of our home nursing. All the nursing went to hospitals and clinics, and it hit probably more time without a nurse than with a nurse. And um, the nurse that we had, there were, and I'm talking like he was supposed to have 72 months and handling with the school people myself. And person they called, I have to jump and go because what else are you supposed to? When the family I had out there was incapable of helping them, I was the one who didn't work so I could go help people. I'm also the least educated, formally educated out of the three of us. Yet I'm the one, who has all this medical knowledge now. And I'm the one, everyone called for anything, everything. I have no nurse degree. I son. And then with my mother and my stepmother. So now my dad is 76 and living by himself, and he's a challenge. He doesn't want to be by himself, and so he's making very big mistakes in ways to try and the way he's using to try and find somebody or just to entertain himself, to have something to do. He lived with my nephew, lived with him for a while. And for a while, that was fine. And that he was talking to on the internet that was really going to magically appear at his doorstep and live with him. And the one in particular had a young child, so he kicked my nephew out. There's been no getting him to stop doing it. He keeps on. He's lost $90,000 in the process. And no matter what, my older sister, who is now no longer drinking alcohol, is very helpful. She and I trying to keep my dad straight. But my sister has been hurt by the way my dad has treated her children, adult children, kicking him out of his house over these women who don't even fucking exist. They're just online scammers taking his money or wasting his time. And because he doesn't want to be alone, he believes that they, really will be someone who will come and take care of him. He's never had to take care of himself. He moved out of his parents' house, went into the Navy, lived with my mom, then lived with my stepmom, and then my next stepmom, all the way up until she passed away in 2022. So at 76 now, he thinks he needs somebody else to take care of him. And that's not true. He is very capable of taking care of himself. He just never has had to. I guess that's the gist of my saga. Nice soap opera story. Lots of details, of course, left out. Talking to my fucking phone on the internet. Maybe I'll save this video so that I can write my book someday. Hey guys. Hey, the doggies are not out over there. You're just smelling the rabbits. Stanley Charles. Oh, Jai, they're smelling rabbits again. Running around barking in the back of the yard. See, there's nobody out. There's nobody. There's nobody. So, again, ever since COVID, too, my husband has been able to stay home and work from home. Even when other people from his office have gone back 2-3 days a week, they have allowed him to stay at home. And he does his job very well from home. But on the days that there are... So, yeah, the nurse only days a week. So, and she only works the hours that, not even the hours that the whole hours that my husband works those 3 days a week. So, yeah, we spend a lot of time alone. Somebody needing to be in the room with my son all the time because now he has seizures that we have to worry about, on top of all the other medical things that have happened to him. And the things that are go away. I think I remember calling him to you, and he takes good care of my son, our son. And my son, all the things he's gone through. To think all these medical things with him every day, that people have to do for him every day, for him to have a stranger come in and take care of him. And, then, they're just all of a sudden gone. And he doesn't ask why. I don't think he knows. And then everyone is, special people. God only gives special kids like that to special parents. You must be special people. Well, I don't know. I don't feel special. Do anything wrong, and neither did my husband. Yes, my son is a blessing. He's an amazing young man, and he's obviously here to live his life for the joy of life and to teach us how to be better people, the people around him. It's like a test for the people around him, how they're going to treat him. And I can tell you some of them have failed miserably. It's also hard at the stage that my older kids are at, even though they don't live at home. The ones going through the time periods of, looking back and blaming their parents for things. And right now it's looking back and blaming mom. At least one of them. And the other one doesn't, wants to get along with me, but then, like I said, crosses boundaries. It has expectations of me that are completely unrealistic, based on my health. But then I think secretly inside being angry at me for it. Probably has opinions about, how I've done it to myself, or how I really should be able to just fix it. All I know is that, like I said a couple times already, that I'd spent all my adult life taking care of my family, husband, children, my mother, my stepmother at the end. Yet somehow I'm the bad guy in the picture all the time. When there's family drama, it's my fault. Whatever it's about, it's usually my fault somehow. I'm not saying that's true. I'm saying that's how it plays out. Things get laid at my feet. Jai, I don't know if you're still there because the comments are kind of looks like my brother actually was an alcoholic and drug addict for his entire adult life, and he was 30 something when my mom passed away, and approximately a year and a half after my mom passed away, his father was older, so he had been gone for several years. So a year and a half after my half brother, my mother passed away, my half brother hanged himself. Yep. In his system, that the liver can't process it and spits it back out into the bloodstream as an even more concentrated compound. And I guess that's why a lot of people use alcohol and cocaine together, because they like that second rush, apparently. That's how it was explained to me. But in looking it up, if you have a lot of the methyl cocaine or something like that, one of the side effects of having a lot of that in your system is making you more suicidal. And it's not that my brother didn't have his share of issues, obviously, because he was drinking and doing and selling drugs, and had a daughter he couldn't see very often because of his situation and his choices. And now that daughter will pretty much not have anything to do with my sister, who still lives up there, our side of the family. She's never spoken to me, even on Facebook. I believe she accepted my friend request, but she's never said a word to me. I imagine she just assumes we're all bad people because her dad was a bad person in her mind. But yeah, alcohol and cocaine is a bad mixture. Alcohol and drugs, any of it, the addiction, it's something that gets a hold of you and you are in its grip. Makes you do things too that you would never normally do. And I'm glad I have avoided any of that. But then, of course, that makes me different than the rest of my family, see? So I must think I'm better than them. I think I know it all. And don't tell Renee, she'll just judge, etc., etc. I don't have to be a drug addict or an alcoholic to be able to talk about or talk with a family member who's having those kind of problems. And who says I lack so much emotion, or who says I lack empathy? I realize I've had to be very, very logical for the last 20 years involving all this medical stuff with my son, but that does not make, I am still human. I flipping had a mental breakdown over having to turn on and off that emotional and logical switch in order to cope. That doesn't mean I'm a judgmental, unfeeling, critical, cold, mean person. I don't know why things happen to people. I don't know why people go through certain things. I could only, and I've only ever thought that, there was always something to be learned in it. That's why. And the thing is, it's not like I've had to go through the same things over and over again. So I obviously learned my lesson. It's just that I keep getting more and more things going on in life. It gets hard when there's never any peace, any peace of mind. Thank you. No, Chase, I am not okay. I'm not at any risk of hurting myself. I'm just telling my story. Uh, so, yeah, for those of you, who don't live in America, and what you see maybe on TV or hear about our culture and the way we live and how everything is available to us over here. We have all these freedoms, which we do have all of the fact that we're very, very free here compared to any other country is very true. But you can make yourself into whatever you put your mind to here in America, but it doesn't stop all the human lessons and trials and tests in life. And we have problems here too. We are human, just like every other human. So, I don't have any other doctor's appointments until Friday, so I've actually thought about, what am I going to do with myself between now and Friday? Seeing it as downtime, actually grateful. Because actually, honestly, the only real places I go, which now that relationship is a little strained again. So yay me, yay. Daughter all the time, can't see my grandkids all the time. It's too difficult between the two of us. I've hidden you. Let me unhide you. Where are you? No, 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 no. Are you there, Jai? I didn't mean to hide you. I apologize. the sun was in my eyes and I couldn't see on the phone, and I accidentally pushed that. I didn't see it. Lay down. Hank! Kill one of our dogs, so we don't need the up through the fence again. Hank! And they just sniff and they hear them. I heard one howling, so I think they are out in their middle yard, that aren't coming all the way out to the very back of their yard where they can be by the fence by our dogs. So, gosh, I don't even know if this is even going to be salvageable. So many times this thing has been reconnecting, disconnecting, and reconnecting. I'll probably have to like hook all these videos together for it to even be fucking coherent. Hey. And only a few of you are getting to actually see this because you've been on before. So I think I tried at least to, from being out here in the backyard. Like I said early on, if I sat in that chair Monday, and so I switched chairs 5 feet over, and now I'm able to connect to one of the Wi-Fi's from the house, but it comes in and out. How am I doing? I am emotionally unloading in this video. Normally, I am your happy-go-lucky smile on my face until I'm crying my eyes out over years old. From when you were younger, or with your family, that you deal with them as early as you start to have memories or problems you realize might be related to stuff that has gone on in your life or stuff that has gone on in your childhood. Don't wait until you're 50 to do it. I just didn't quite connect the dots that a lot of the issues that I keep coming up against emotionally and mentally have to do with trauma from my childhood, and that I always just told the story like it was this funny soap opera, haha, well, you wouldn't believe this and you wouldn't believe that, but it's true. And yeah, it's true, but it's entirely fucked up, and it affected me in a very negative, bad way, and nobody's apologized. My older sister, she apologized. She actually apologized again to me. Nobody else. Apparently, they think I'm Superwoman, and they never done or thought or treated me in any bad way. So, how are you doing, Chase? Oh, doing better than I am. It won't change the way this view is. It has me on a beam thing now, so like the picture is fucky. Like there's some sort of light beam. Maybe because there's sun, there's not much of a... Then if I face the sun, I lose fucking connection. So the sun has to shine on my phone in order to record. Yeah, so as you can imagine, I'm in a sad, shitty mood today. I woke up that way too. And I think I'm going to now cool off because it is getting hotter faster. And it's supposed to be another 90 something degree day. And I don't want any part of that. So I'd rather go into the air conditioning. And if I have to be sad and crying my eyes out all day, I'd rather it not be outside in a night and without cicadas. But I'm seeing fly all over the place. All by us are quiet. Maybe they're munching on some cicadas. So I'm going to end this here and go and hide and see what kind of a wreck of things has been recorded, how many sections of lives I have together to piece it all together, because I am going to, and apologize. I apologize again, Gia. I accidentally couldn't see the phone well, and it was not connected, and trying to reconnect, and just come on now, because I've had connection issues out here in my backyard, and it keeps dropping me and reconnecting and dropping me and reconnecting, which means I have a bunch of, quite frankly, videos that are not unlisted and not private, and I've been crying my eyes out and crafty. Nothing crafting at all. I might try crafting later today to see if that makes me feel any better. It's good to see you. What are you doing today? I see. I realize that VO at the end of your name is for voiceovers. So you must have an excellent variety of speaking voices. And do you sing as well? Oh, well, let's fix that if I can. I'm out here. Let me walk towards the house actually, so I can see better. Yeah, I've seen some of that previously, but I haven't been seeing all of the chat. So I will do that. I'm walking towards the house, so I shouldn't lose signal, and I should be able to do things here. There you are. I've made you. I'm sorry. Maybe you didn't want to, and I can change that later, but thank you for letting me know about needing one, and that they were disrespectful. Oh, you're trying to get into acting. What kind of acting would you like to do? Are you talking about drama or television or movies or comedy? What kind of actor do you want to be? Okay, I have made it into the house. I am now in my drama. Ooh, how fun is that? Get to play all kinds of things, be all kinds of characters that you would never get to experience perhaps in your own life otherwise, huh? Woo! Hello, baby. You gonna get out of the way now? Go get some water? Go get some water after being out there all that time. Yeah. Angela, because I couldn't see with the sun facing my phone, I couldn't even see, and I accidentally not only put in timeout and then hid this young man from my channel on accident, who has been out there. He's been watching the last 3 times I've been outside and had videos. He's been a very kind young man. So I hope he knows that I didn't mean it, and as soon as I could see it on the screen with the sunshine, I undid it, And it's just that the signal keeps dropping and coming back and whatever, so I don't know if it really did fix it or didn't fix it. There are some voiceover demos on your YouTube page. Oh, I'll have to go and look. How exciting. Most of my YouTube videos are craft related, and that has always been my intention, but I was very clear, I think, in my description about myself and about my channel that that would not be the only thing. And I guess today's the day that, some of my own real life drama came onto my YouTube page. Came out to for whoever's going to see it. Yeah, thank you for letting me know. I don't see any, except for at the beginning, maybe. Yeah, so it must have been such a crappy signal that I wasn't even getting messages. What are you doing? You looking outside? Huh? Sitting here in my coffee chair, but I've already had my coffee. So I have water with fruit in it. Is anyone else online, Angela? Any other crafters that we might know together each know? Anybody to watch and craft along with today? What is today? Wednesday? Oh, so okay, yeah, I'm sure I will see you in a chat soon. Take care. Have a good day. And I think I'm going to go for now too. And like I said, check on all these bits and pieces of video that I created. It's Wednesday. It's halfway through the week, right? So we'll get through the rest of the week. Just one day at a time. It's been nice seeing you guys. Talk to you soon.